Let's get it, baby. Let's eat. Let's eat. What is up, everybody, and welcome into the DNVR Nuggets Pregame Show. There it is. There it is. Muted excitement.
I mean,
Well, it's good. I'm glad you're fine with this. Not your call. Not your call.
Yeah.
We are presented, as always, by DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app. Download it right now. Use promo code DNVR because in about 22 minutes exactly, D-Line Co., a.k.a. Eric, is going to be handing out free money.
Can you believe it?
I can't believe it. You know, Dev's not here. We can't lose money tonight, guys. We're going to only win money now.
Well, don't worry. Dev sent me a few picks that I'll poison the segment with.
You dog. All right, the panel here tonight with me wearing the failed CSU Rams.
Wow, dude. That's some of our base.
Whoa. Failed. We're the number one seed.
Oh, wait, that's right. Let's go, baby. The favorites of the other bracket. And then, of course, over on the end, we've got the Vogt.
Couldn't wait to see where you went with that one. Glad to be here, fellas. Ready for another Nuggets game. Let's do it.
Snowy. Snowpocalypse happened. It was everything everybody promised.
Sort of.
In a manner of speaking.
12 hours back.
That was 12 hours back.
But it happened.
It still did happen. It was kind of fun. Built a little igloo. What did you guys do?
Yesterday was fun. I stayed inside what's been described as my ivory tower, looking down at the people and the plebes that had to shovel things and go about their business, whatever it is they do.
People are watching out of state. I don't know what it was like where you guys were. Where I'm up a little bit more north than most people. Play that louder. I'm up a little bit more north. I would say it was about 20 inches of snow. It was a lot, man. Yeah. Shoveling took 8 hours.
Oh, yeah, I didn't have to do that. But about 2 feet for me. It was a lot, man. It was a lot.
I actually only shoveled my back deck, made a nice little igloo. It was tight. All right, Nuggets, they have Indy tonight, the Pacers. It is kind of interesting because we talked about this 2 nights ago, the Nuggets getting in at 2 in the morning, and then they have to go back to the arena to test. Today, the Pacers couldn't get in until 2 in the afternoon, and so the NBA, we delay the game. We say, hey, let's accommodate. They're probably tired. They're probably sleepy, a little jet lagged. Is this conspiracy, Eric? Are we outraged?
Where's that hat?
Where is that conspiracy hat?
All right, pretend my hand is tinfoil. No, it's not really conspiracy.
Yeah, it's not. It's actually, there it is right there.
It's so fair.
No, it's actually not a conspiracy at all. I do wonder how it affects just the game and the rhythm of the game, especially since it was announced so late. You know, I don't think anybody could adjust their nap schedule for Denver. They probably woke up and were like, damn it, I could have napped another half hour.
But yeah, all that said, should be an obvious and pretty substantial rest advantage for Denver here tonight. So a chance to turn the tide from the way that Mavericks game went.
Yeah, the funny thing about watching sports on television is that every arena looks the same, but they're actually in different places.
They are in different places.
They're in different localities.
They feel especially the same right now where the fake music is. I'm telling you, as the year goes on, the fake music sounds more ridiculous. The fake crowd.
Dude, the weirdest in the arena is they come through the tunnel and they play, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your Denver Nuggets. And the scattered front office is
the front office.
They're literally strange. Ours. The funny thing is that, so when you see them on TV, traveling sucks. So if you on a day that you actually fly, you're kind of useless. At least I am whenever I go anywhere. So not liking what I'm seeing for the Pacers. I'll say that.
With the Nuggets, what's our latest updated report here? Do we know the starters? Do we know who's in and out? Vote.
So we know that Monte Morris is out, Gary Harris is out, and RJ Hampton is out. I don't know about the starters yet. So go ahead and let us know in that comment section if you see it. For Indiana guys, Jeremy Lamb is out tonight, sore left knee. TJ Warren is out, that left foot. Of course, LeVert is back, so that should change things.
It should change things. I think just the second game back, so interesting to kind of see him out there. Michael Malone was kind of raving about him in the pregame. Was there anything that stood out to you about the pregame?
Well, he talked about Jamal Murray.
Yeah,
he talked about
Said he's playing swimmingly.
Yeah, well, no, he just sort of talked about there are cycles with Jamal Murray, and we're sort of back to that. What does it look like when the shots aren't falling cycle?
We're in the Jamal ebb.
And just, Malone really trying to push him and remind him you can have a winning impact even if the shots don't fall. He came full circle, shouted out Sabonis for being a player who does that on Indiana, and also said that's why he's an all-star. Maybe I'm reading into something, but look, he said this before about Jamal, that, look, you have to bring it every night, and look, if the shot isn't falling, can you help the team win? And obviously, I don't think anyone thinks he did that the last couple of games.
Wins just tweeted out starters.
What are they? Give us the starters here, Kel. Same as last game, so Millsap at the floor. With a little bit of a bummer. But, to be honest, Indy plays big, and Michael Malone always adjusts to who he's playing. So, Nuggets staying big tonight. Let's move on, guys. We're going to get more into these game notes. The great Caitlin Cooper of Indy Cornrows is going to be joining us a little bit later on in the show. She's recorded an interview with Harrison Wind. But first, I want to talk about the story of the day for the Denver Nuggets, which was not Snowpocalypse. Yeah. It could have been Snowpocalypse. It was Chris Haynes of Yahoo Sports reporting that the Denver Nuggets are one of 3 teams, along with the Houston Rockets, Detroit Pistons, who have already inquired about one Aaron Gordon dunk contest champion snubbed for the championship. But
did he win one year and then lost the other, or is he never won?
I think he might have lost both ones, and then he's like, I'm never doing this again.
An all-time snub.
An all-time snub. He might be snub number 1. Just right off the top, Vogt, what do you think about Aaron Gordon's fit on Denver? Before we talk price or whatever.
Sure.
What do you think?
Well, just from a body type standpoint, he fits the bill, right? I mean, this is the kind of guy you put next to MPJ and Jokic, and all of a sudden, that's a lot of length and a ton of athleticism between Porter and Gordon. And
he's one of the most athletic players in the NBA, if not
I'm
the most.
This, to be clear, yeah.
Still not a dunk champion, though.
So, look, for folks who have wanted to put defense, length, athleticism around Jokic, like that Gordon, Porter, Jokic trio, we have not seen anything like that in the Jokic era here in Denver.
D-line, that's
What do I think of Aaron Gordon? I like Aaron Gordon as a player. He's somebody I've paid attention to, like, from afar. Like, I've been aware of him my entire time. I don't watch the NBA as closely and religiously as the two of you.
You haven't watched a ton of Magic this year?
I've not seen a ton of Magic. I do know that my beloved Evan Fournier, whose name shall not be Googled, plays alongside him down there. It is a funny thing. Like, I mean, there really is a NBA Siberia, and it's the warmest place in the U.S.
Right.
For some reason, the Magic can't ever really get anyone to take them seriously. So it's pretty easy for a player to just sort of disappear, and you just know about like I know about him as like the dunk guy, and I know about him as as being super athletic.
Right.
I have positive feelings about him, but I don't know enough to say one way or the other. I am very intrigued by it, though.
So here's my thing with Aaron Gordon, because I think that he can be the perfect fit. We start to look at, I personally believe that Denver has a big 3 they're dealing with. Maybe they move on from a Porter or something like that. I just don't think so. I think it becomes less likely as this season goes on. Sure. So you look at, okay, what do you need around those guys? Well, you need athletes, you need length, you need defense. And specifically, when we talk about Michael Porter, you need a 3.5, a guy that can be a 3 or a 4 depending on the situation. That's Aaron Gordon to a T. Can he defend multiple different types of players, including some superstar talent? I think yes. He projects to be that. Where he's most concerning, and I think Denver, when you're a beggar, you can't be a chooser. If Aaron Gordon was drafted, if Aaron Gordon was drafted where Jeremy Grant was, I think he would be super Jeremy Grant, meaning like he's a role player who made his bones by doing all this stuff and this, that. When you're a top pick and you're heralded, you think you're a star. And he's 7 years into this, and I think Aaron Gordon still looks at it and says, I'm a star. If he came to Denver, he would be the 4th option on offense.
Sure.
The number 1 guy on defense. Like, he'd have to be the elite guy defensively, but he'd be the number 4 guy and could fit in that system, be very efficient. When I watch him play, I see a guy that does not realize that he is a great role player, not a bad star. And that's what concerns me about him. I think he takes a lot of bad shots, does a lot of dumb things, in part because of what he sees as himself.
I mean, is some of that just, like you're saying, the situation that
Maybe.
he's in? I mean, to me, it feels like playing alongside Jokic like forces you into a PhD program whereby you either sink or you swim, and he sort of like doesn't. I mean, he witnesses bad play around him, but it's like he's now to the point in his leadership of this team where he like gets really annoyed by it. We'll call people out, and it's very obvious if you're doing the wrong thing. So to me, I like what I'm hearing about just the raw tools and the potential as far as a fit is concerned. I don't put as much stock into the idea of like how he's been allowed to play and sort of
but let me put this out there for you. He has 1 more year on his contract, so it's not like Jeremy Grant, who was in the final year. He has 1 more year left. Jeremy Grant, let's be honest, guys. I think part of why he left, there's a lot of reasons. I think some that have been public, some that maybe are not so public. But there are a lot of reasons why he left. And one of those is very clearly because he saw himself as more than a fourth or fifth or sixth guy. And I think Aaron Gordon, like, that's the same concern. So you're right that I don't put too much stock into this or that. But at the same time, man, asking a guy to come in here 1 year away from a contract year and say, hey, your best stat line for us is 12 points, 10 rebounds, a lot of defense, and that's it. And we're not going to give you a lot of ISOs, not a lot of pick and rolls. And I think a guy looks at that and says, man, some guys that works out. Draymond Green, Andre Iguodala, these guys get paid for being great at what they do. But most of the time, it's Torrey Craig.
Yeah.
We could cut you because we don't actually need you.
And I think this is a player who, of course, I don't know him, will probably feel like he has something to prove, right? Given where he's drafted, how his time in Orlando has gone. He certainly hasn't transcended expectations. So is that how he wants to spend the contract year in that Jeremy Grant role? It's a real question. The flip side is, does he embrace it? Yeah, he can pick up a lot of easy points the way MPJ does just by cutting.
He would be great. I'm telling you, he actually is kind of ideal, though.
I think of him as like Kenneth Faried that way, like who you've always said would be. You want him next to Jokic.
Kenyon Martin was kind of another one I thought of. Now the game's changed; they're different players. But Kenyon Martin was like the hype. Nuggets had to really pay for him. But he came in here and was mostly the defensive guy, whatever. And I think Aaron Gordon, if he were to embrace that role, would be it. It's hard because Aaron Gordon's in the prime of his career.
Right.
He's like in his peak prime. So I don't know. That would be intel that the front office would have to get. Here's the other half of it. Aaron Gordon is a good enough player that he will command 110% of his own value, I think, because there'll be teams vying for him, as Kirsane's reported. Here's what I think is maybe doable for Denver, meaning maybe this is what would get it through. R.J. Hampton, Bol, Will Barton, and a first-round pick. Now, that's essentially Will Barton, who I think that most fans are wanting to get, Right. I love Will Barton, but you have to give him up. Okay, I guess I understand it. R.J. Hampton, Bol's like, R.J. Hampton's a pick. That's like one pick. Bol is like 0.5 picks. Like he's not quite a full pick. And then your own first round pick, that's a pick. So that's a lot of assets, quote unquote assets to give up. How do you feel about that, D-Line?
I mean, you put this in the Slack earlier. It feels like a lot to me. It feels like, the situation is different. At first, I thought this was his contract year, so we'd be getting him as a rental, but he does have another year on his contract. So that makes it a little bit more palatable. I hate taking picks away from Tim Conley. I feel like, as you said, like R.J. Hampton basically is a first round pick.
Right.
Like, you can just pretend that is a first round pick without the person assigned to it, that nebulous concept of a first round pick. Like, this guy is all potential, hasn't been proven. Something good is going to come from him. Will Barton is, I also hate to get rid of him, but I do feel like, just the way that it's gone with the fan base here, like it sort of feels like it's just, we can't convince one side or the other to sort of like drop their spears.
I don't think that has anything to do with it. I just think Denver has 7 guards. Like you can afford to lose one.
I'm just talking about from like an emotional standpoint.
Oh,
how
sure.
do I feel about it? Like, good.
Well, I mean, it's just a natural end of the road in theory if they decide to go in that direction. But there's so many guards. Also, like, look, Barton, I think, was content to be the third best guy on this team. He's been a little vocal. Like, it's different for him as the fourth guy. Yeah. Would he at this point, welcome a chance to take what's left of his peak, being a bigger option somewhere else? I'm not saying that's how he feels, but look, this is a natural sort of ending point should both parties decide to go in that direction.
Well, we got to move on, guys. We have a great interview right now with Caitlin Cooper that Harrison did a little bit earlier, and here it is.
All right, Nuggets have the Pacers tonight here in Denver at Ball Arena. So to preview the game, I had to bring on friend of the show, Caitlin Cooper from IndyCornrows.com. Caitlin, it's good to see you. It's been a minute. I don't think we talked since the whole country was shut down.
Yeah, like pre-bubble. It's hard to even remember which version of the Pacers I was on at that point in time. I mean, the Pacers have had like 8 different teams in the last 12 months. So pre-Victor, Victor back, Small in the bubble without Sabonis, then with TJ Warren, without TJ Warren, with Victor traded, and now with Karis LeVert. Feels like the season's finally starting on their end. So.
Yeah, well, that's exciting. I definitely want to ask you about a couple of those things. First, though, just kind of high-level thoughts. What are you watching for tonight from a Pacers perspective? the most? I know Karis LeVert's back, and it's obviously great to see him. But what are you just watching for, or what are you excited about the most to see tonight?
In this particular matchup, well, first of all, thanks for thinking I have high-level thoughts. I really appreciate that. But yeah, in the first game, I felt like the Murray-only minutes were very damaging for the Pacers. Like, if you look at the plus-minus, which, obviously single-game plus-minuses and everything, but like Dozier, Zeke, all of those guys in those bench minutes, that was pretty damaging because the Pacers were playing box and one. They went box and one, and I think that Michael Malone was pretty prepared for that. He said that in their hotel room the night before, he watched the Pacers play the Cavs, and the Cavs were box and oneing Colin Sexton, and it felt like Denver was pretty prepared. They were screening the outside of the box, which a lot of teams don't do. When the Pacers go into it, they'll be a little bit more surprised from it. They were running some step-up screens where Isaiah Hartenstein just like creamed a couple people, and that let Jamal Murray get free. And then in the second half, they were like, "Well, we're terrible at box and one, so let's start blitzing Jamal Murray," and that went awfully too. So I felt like those were minutes that the Pacers really needed to win if they were going to stay in that game, and they pretty much got obliterated in those two segments. So the Jamal Murray only minutes, I think, are pretty important.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting because that Jamal Murray only look, it's been a look Denver's gone to on their bench unit, specifically when they were super undermanned. Like, I think they were pretty undermanned in that Pacers game a couple weeks ago. They were missing like Paul Millsap, who is back now, JaMychal Green, who is back. And they were finding a way to stay afloat with only Jamal Murray on the floor. And like, if the Nuggets can just be kind of even during those minutes, that's probably a win because just the starters are going to cook so much. But yeah, that's interesting. The Pacers playing a box and one. I love that. You don't see that these days.
I have a love-hate relationship with it.
I'm sure you do.
Sometimes you watch it. Well, I mean, they ran it on one possession on an out-of-bounds play, and Vlatko's just standing there for a wide-open three. And what was your reaction in the third quarter when they went triangle and two against Jokic and Murray? They literally went triangle and two with Brogdon shadowing Jokic on a possession.
Yeah, I mean, look, I love it because I'm all for just NBA teams trying out weird defenses like that. But I don't know, it's fun. If the Nuggets were prepared for it, like, hey, hats off to them, like Malone said. So, yeah, we'll see. What are your thoughts on Karis LeVert? One game back against Phoenix, he went for 13 points, 5 of 14 shooting. What are kind of thoughts on him as a player and expectations for him right now?
Right. So I think you could that game, the win over Phoenix was the best win the Pacers have had this season. And not only because he was back, I think they got somewhat of an emotional burst just from knowing that he was back in the lineup, but they finally were getting some downhill penetration. Like, normally in their starters, they have Doug and Justin and Miles and Sabonis, and Brogdon's basically the only ball handler. They do some pitch stuff with Sabonis where he kind of attacks in that way, but you're not getting that from Doug and Justin. So just having Karis to get downhill, and then a lot of teams have been scheming for the Pacers, going under against Brogdon and being like, he's shot better off the dribble this year, but teams are willing to live with that if it means you can get rid of some of their motion. So Karis, can shoot behind a screen. He has somewhat of an iffy jump shot, but more so off the catch, which is a little bit weird. But I thought that made a difference, and then just clarified their rotation. They're playing so many wonky bench lineups with all the injuries they've had. So, sometimes they play Jeremy Lamb at the 4 spot, which is absurd, not anything they would have done last year. But with Karis back, then you can move Doug back to the bench and have more of what their normal rotation would have been last year when Sabonis was kind of the through line with the bench unit.
So looking back on that first Nuggets-Pacers game, Denver won 113-103. Jokic had a nice game, 20, 12, and 8. Michael Porter Jr., who always seems to have good games against the Pacers.
Yeah, I don't think that's a coincidence.
What do you think that is? Just a lack of wing defenders on Indiana, or what do you think that is?
Yeah, this year in particular, they don't have TJ, so they're either too big at that spot at times or they're too small. And a year ago, when Michael Porter Jr. kind of had his first big game against the Pacers, Justin Holiday was guarding him, which I imagine they'll do some tonight, since if Michael's going to start at the 3. And Justin he's a good defender. He just doesn't have enough size. Michael Porter was just getting to the rim around him, cutting around him. So I would suspect we will see more of that. But in the first game, the Pacers got cross-matched a few times. I mean, there was one possession where Aaron was guarding Michael Porter Jr., which is like a disaster. And then Sabonis a couple times hedged off a little too far to kind of provide support on Jokic, and he's just not quick enough to be closing out with how close you have to close out against MPJ. So,
yeah. And then I remember there were a couple transition possessions where Turner was matched up on him, and Turner just wasn't quick enough to stay attached to him on the perimeter, and Porter got a couple threes there. So, yeah, we'll see. Like you said, if the Nuggets stick with that same starting lineup, the Murray, Barton, Porter, Millsap, Jokic look that they played against Dallas the other night, that would mean Holiday is probably getting the Porter assignment. So, yeah, it could be another big game from Porter. Who else on Denver worries you from a Pacers perspective in this matchup? I guess other than Porter and Nikola Jokic, who else on Denver should Indiana kind of be keying in on or could give the Pacers trouble, you think?
So what is the bench lineup going to be? Like now that Millsap's back in, who are we looking at?
So if Millsap is back in, the bench lineup is going to include JaMychal Green. He's definitely going to be in there. Facu Campazzo, I think, is going to be in there as well. I don't believe he played in that last game against Indiana. PJ Dozier will be in there. And then the other two spots can kind of be up for grabs. They went with an 8-man rotation against the Mavs. But Murray is going to play alongside that group a bunch. And then it's just kind of going to be a mix with who that fifth guy is. It could be Barton. They kind of went with a Barton, JaMychal Green, Jokic, PJ Dozier, Campazzo bench lineup at times, and sometimes it was Murray in there as well. So they've been mixing and matching, I guess, in these last couple of games now that they've gotten some more healthy bodies back.
Right. So two things then. In the first game, Miles Turner was really active on the offensive glass, and that's something he's improved at this year. But I think some of that was Michael Porter Jr. just like being a spectator. So if Millsap's back in the starting lineup, I wonder if Miles gets as many of those second chance points. That's one adjustment. And then also, like, just from my own personal appreciation, like, are there two players more similar than Facu and TJ McConnell?
This is a point I brought up when the two teams played the first time. Like, you can compare Facu to nobody in the NBA, maybe outside of TJ McConnell.
Yeah, I mean, they're both super pesty, have pretty good passing vision. Like, obviously, Facu's one of the best point guard passers off the bench. But, whenever TJ's in, that's when they'll look for the box and one looks. He's usually the chaser in those situations. But I'm like, I just want to see the two of them picking each other up 94 feet and just being super annoying.
Yeah, I want to see that too. I just want to see a total clear out and have those two just go. Awesome, Caitlin. Well, that gives some great perspective on the Pacers. Thanks for joining us. And, we'll see what happens tonight.
Hey, thanks again for having me.
As Eric said in the chat there, we are huge Caitlin guys. Yeah. And depending on how you put the emphasis there.
Yeah, it was called
really
out.
Could change a lot the
it was called out immediately that we're all huge Caitlin guys except for Vogt, who's more of a mini Caitlin guy.
You guys definitely check out her work, though. Definitely check out her work. She's a great follow, friend of the show. Oh, yeah. She's been on before. She'll be on again.
Dude, she's freaking great. I watch her and I listen to her talk, and I'm like, what am I doing here?
I was thinking the same thing when I was watching that. I was like, wow.
Please say that about you. Meant that about you and not me.
No, I meant that about you. Okay. All right, but now it's time for everybody's favorite part. We got about 6 minutes here to make some money.
Oh, baby.
Eric, can you make us money in 6 minutes?
Yeah, we got a
DraftKings Sportsbook app.
We got a whole lifetime to make money, but let's make a little quick.
I've got a bunch of
bets, quick cash.
Just let you know if you need a bailout.
I am here for Vogt.
Let's 3-man weave this. Why don't you start us?
I don't have
what we got.
All right, at points, dude. I think our friends Caitlin and Harrison just hit on this. Porter over 16 and a half.
Porter, that's the number one. Yeah, that's the main thing I gleaned from Caitlin.
16 and a half. Like, look, for whatever reason, Porter's gone off against this team, so that's a fun bet. And while we're on the topic, Eric, if you're looking at MPJ for highest scorer,
okay,
plus 1,400.
Yeah, he plays with Jokic. I don't like that bet.
So true.
Enough. I can't. We're trying to win people money here tonight.
Okay. You know what? I'm going to throw $1 on it. Why not? I'll do a little crazy.
Let's all
Excuse me. I'm going to throw 1 unit on there. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
finally
let's all let's all lose
tell you what my units are here.
So I think honestly, like, you know, my creed and my rule is that I never bet on points, but I'm just taking the Denver Nuggets tonight. Minus 4.5.
I like it.
I don't love what the Pacers are up against just from a human standpoint of having to travel and then play. Like, and to that end, like, I'm also taking the Nuggets in the first quarter. Like, I imagine that the Nuggets are going to come
like this.
The Nuggets are already one of the best first quarter teams in the
What
NBA.
is the line for the quarter? 1.5?
1.5.
So you think they're going to like just
That's a good one, Eric.
I do think that they're going to come out and own.
Okay, you know what? I'm in on this. I like these bets, Eric. I
this-
like this. We never get to the quarter bet, so that I like it. Thank you.
I'm more of the quarterback here.
Hey, so rebounds. Indiana, not a very good team at getting.
Okay, before we get there, can I ask a question? Jamal Murray, like, all eyes are on him. He's averaging, I think, 4 points over his last 2 games.
If you know what to do with Jamal Murray, please share.
So that's still this isn't. Go ahead.
We have intel.
Ooh,
we have intel from one Harrison Wind who is at Ball Arena and was watching one Jamal Murray warm up, and he put in the Slack, not even for betting purposes. I've never seen Jamal look so loose during a warm-up session.
So that means that
either means he was doing like jokes and magic tricks and wasn't paying attention, or he's learned. Like, my hypothesis is that his issue over the last few has been an emotional one.
Oh,
I feel like
I like this reckless speculation.
Could be.
He's just upset. He's sad.
Listen,
it's fair.
You act like these aren't human beings.
We act like okay. I'm sorry.
You act like I'm not a human being.
That's what we're acting like.
I think Jamal Murray is prime for a comeback. I don't know that I'm going to bet his points though. Like
a comeback.
If I'm going to give you the stone cold lock of the game, it is, again, as it was last game, it is going to be Michael Porter Jr. over 2.5 3-point shots.
Man, this one does feel
like
a lock.
It is in plus money.
Wow.
It's absolute cash money. Take it, run away with it.
I got it.
Do what you need to do.
You're right. That's a fun one too, because like every time he hits a three, it's just like, you only have to count to three. You're like, okay, how many is that? It's one.
Jokic over 10.5 rebounds tonight. Indiana does not do a good job grabbing offensive rebounds or keeping the other team off the offensive glass. Jokic should be able to grab a lot of rebounds tonight.
And since he's not here,
does Dev really have a bet?
Yeah.
I can't believe he sent you a bet.
I'll poison well with Dev.
He texted you a bet here.
Last time the Indiana Pacers played, Dev looked at the line of points, rebounds, and assists with me, and we looked at Miles Turner, and it was like pretty low. It's at 17.5. Before it was at 12, and he like just crushed that. He went way over. I don't love 17.5. That's much more. You know what? Forget it, Dev. If you want your picks in, you got to come and be on the show.
That's right. Yeah,
guys. And if you want to ride a hot hand, it's still 1.5 threes for Will Barton III, who was shooting the lights out the last few.
1.5 threes, huh?
And that's at minus 103. So I would jump on that.
And
one.
Will
I would
Barton,
throw a unit.
Will Barton also at 13.5 points. Like,
always something to consider.
Vegas is not. I mean, Vegas probably is in our chat, like in our Will Barton hater chat here. That's too low. Like, I'm taking that absolutely.
We got a lot of little bets here. I kind of like it.
Yeah, baby.
Oh, I got one more point, guys, and it's not a bet point. Can I just go all the way back?
Just go for it.
So I did go through 538's build an NBA contender.
Ooh, yes.
And they
back to Aaron Gordon here.
So as you slot players in and out, it updates that playoff and championship chances columns they have.
What are we currently at?
So the Nuggets would be 12% to win a title right now.
Okay.
If you swap
it's pretty good.
Will Barton III and Aaron Gordon, that jumps up to 18%. Which I believe would tie them with the Nets right now.
Woo! Did you factor in losing Bull?
When you put Bull in, it goes up, actually. It goes up to 20%.
This is so I can't believe that we are in the catbird seat, and now we're just like, you know what this means? Is 16 enough? 18? Like, let's go on. What do you mean? Do I know what
catbird?
Yeah, that means like.
Yeah, I don't think I've heard that one before.
What is it?
It means that you are in prime position. Like, you're in the pole position. You're the leader.
Okay, so pole position.
Okay.
There's more than one word. You're a goddamn reporter. What do you say the same thing every time?
All right, well,
I'm coloring this conversation with colorful language.
Well, hopefully, guys, the Nuggets are in the catbird position tonight. We're going to be back here in the catbird spot.
That's not what this
we're going to be
having.
I'm trying to use this in a sentence here, Eric. We're going to be back in the catbird position as soon as you get back after the game. We can't wait to see you. Thanks for riding with us, guys. Hit that like button on your way out.
Unbelievable.
We'll see you guys next time.